3 readers, covering single-cell RNA-seq, SURET, R and Python programming, ATAC-seq, and bioinformatics as best practices. He is among the most followed and engaged voices in bioinformatics on LinkedIn and Twitter, consistently sharing not just technical knowledge, but honest reflections on what it means to work in this field, the challenges, the learning curves, the realities of the industry, and the value of open knowledge sharing. Dr. Tang, it is an extreme honor to have you with us here today.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, Doctor, we have our first question to you is that there's a version of you that comes through in your writing, in the things you put beyond the research, that I think is quite rare. And most of the people, by the time they reach where you are, they tend to share only their milestones. And the struggle often gets polished away. The hard parts get edited out of the story. But with you, it hasn't. And I think that's exactly why people connect with your work the way they do. So before we get into anything else, I want to go back to that person, the one who existed before any of these big achievements, before anything was built, before anything was certain. Who were you back then? Where did you come from? And what was it inside you that kept you moving forward even before the world has given you any reason to believe it would work out even?
Okay. Ahmed, that's a very great question. So I started to learn bioinformatics 14 years ago. I think that was 2012. By the way, I have one slide to introduce myself, but let me answer your question first, and I can show everybody like my career trajectory. But I really learned bioinformatics because I was forced to do it, because I was trained in a molecular cancer biology wet lab, actually. So I'm from China, came to the States 2008 to pursue my PhD at the University of Florida. And one day my PhD advisor asked me to analyze this public available chip sequencing data, prompting immunoprecipitation followed by sequencing. And I downloaded the data. I just couldn't open it with Excel. I think that was the first time I realized that I lack computational skills. Okay, so again, the timeline was 2008. I started my PhD. In 2012, already 4 years into my PhD, I had 2 first author papers, both are biochemistry based. Then I started to learn bioinformatics in 2012. But actually, I didn't start right away. I would turn to my bioinformatics colleagues. So, oh, can you help me to analyze this public available data set? It just took them forever. So every time I went to them, they postponed. Oh, can you come next week? I understood because it's not their priority anyways. And I was a little bit frustrated. And then I thought, oh, how hard it could be, right? Let me just learn it by myself. It turned out to be really hard. As you said, I mean, it's a lot of struggle, a lot of nights. So I was doing a lot of experiments and in the day, and then I went back to my apartment and I started to watch those YouTube videos, watch courses on Coursera and edX. I took almost 40 courses, I think, for the first 2 years, statistics, programming stuff. And of course, the best way is always, learn those skills, data analysis skills, by analyzing a real data set that is relevant to your work. I think that's the best way to learn anything, just learn by doing it. So again, I started with ChIP-seq, so that's how I just Google around, follow the tutorial. Okay, how I can also do this analysis from end to end, right? I was using a Windows machine, which is not ideal for bioinformatics analysis. So if you are using a Windows machine or you want to learn bioinformatics, actually, I encourage you to either install Ubuntu for dual booting system, or maybe use a Mac OS. So, but anyway, so I started to learn all those basic stuff, Unix commands, which is the essential skills that you need to run a lot of the bioinformatics tools. And of course, learn a single programming language, either R or Python, from the basics. And then, okay, just start from simple things that you can analyze. Okay, for RNA-seq, let's see whether you can start with the count matrix and then do the DE-seq differential gene expression analysis, right? Okay, I was reading the comment, and by the way, I actually appreciate you actually open your video, because it's more like a conversation here. I can see you, you can see me. That's one of the career tip as well, like because people can see you, and you actually leave a good impression as well, because it's about networking, it's about building connections. But anyway, continue my story. So I spent 2 more years for my PhD, right? I remember, like 4 years into my PhD, then I started to learn bioinformatics. So it took me total 6 years. So the last 2 years, I was just trying to learn some basics, and because I want to make this transition from a wet lab biologist to a computational biologist. So I just spent 2 more years and to kind of refine my skills a little bit so I can apply for a computational biology postdoc. And that's what I did. In 2014, I joined MD Anderson Cancer Center as a postdoc. And the lab that I joined was working on large genomic data sets. So one of them, my advisor, he was leading the Cancer Genome Atlas. It's a big NIH-funded consortium project where they sequenced like tens of thousands tumor samples, like whole exome sequencing and RNA sequencing, those type of data. So I started to expand my skills from analyzing ChIP-seq to RNA-seq to whole exome sequencing, and also to DNA methylation data analysis. So that's how I started to expand. But after you actually master one data type, many of those concepts and skills, they're actually extensible, I would say, right? So if you're doing genomic sequencing data analysis, usually you start with FASTQ files. Yeah, FASTQ files. Okay, I'm looking at the questions. Okay. Then you can align the reads into transcriptome, to genome, do the quantification, right? And all of those actually require you to have basic Linux, Unix command skills. So I would always encourage everybody to have those skill sets, okay? By Unix, Python, or R, okay? Yeah. Matt? So I think that's a good beginning to tell my story. I can I have more to tell later. Yeah, but how should we continue? Yeah.
Great. One more thing, one more question I want to ask about that. You have transitioned into a different field, and a career transition on its own is not rare. People obviously switch fields, people pivot, and it happens all the time. But you stepped into something that was genuinely hard, and with not much of a community around you, and no roadmap. no
Mm-hmm.
guarantee that it would work out, and still you stayed with it through the confusion, through the ease of figuring it out alone.
Mm-hmm.
And we are curious that what kept you going,
Okay.
what helped you to not look away from the path you were walking on,
Mm-hmm.
because most of the people, when some things get hard, they find a reason to go back to what they know. So we are just curious genuinely that what kept you in
Yeah,
it.
that's a great question. So, usually humans are driven by two different things. So the first is the pain, actually. If you have pain and that drives you to do something, like for me, that's how it was started because I need to analyze the data and I didn't know how to analyze the data. So the pain drives me to keep going initially because I want to analyze my own data. Right? And again, it's not easy, as Matt said, a lot of learnings, right? And in the early days, there were not too many resources like roadmaps, as you said. And I was just making mistakes, right? Just follow the tutorials and step by step. And all those like mysterious commands, like initially it seems to me, but then gradually I kind of learned them through a long period of time. Okay. So initially I was driven by the pain. And later, after I actually gained a little bit more experience, right, I was able to analyze my own data for a little bit. It makes me happy. I think the second factor that drives people to do things is you like it, right? You really enjoy doing it. So that's how it ended up actually. So initially it was pain, but later I become really interested in just this field and I began to teach other people. I was able to actually help other lab members to make figures. I was happy. So I think that's the other factor that's been driving me. So, okay, now I can do something useful for others. And I even take one step further. Okay, how can I help other people who wants to be on the same journey? So I started to share my own experience on my blog, right? Dive into genetics and genomics.com. That's my blog. I've been writing blogs since I started to learn bioinformatics. I was journaling for myself because I met this problem and I didn't know how to do it. So I Googled around and I saw it and I just wrote it down on my blog, and then just shared with everybody. So gradually it started to gain traction. I believe in the early days, people just Google, okay, they have the same problem, they Google it, and then they found my blog post and they came to my blog and read it and they find it's useful. So yeah, to answer your question. So first, initially, I was driven by the pain. Second, later I become a little bit more proficient in what I'm doing and I like doing it and I enjoy doing it. So that's how I still keep in the journey. As you said, it's hard, like when you switch to a different field. But the secret is that you have to stick around for a long, long time. It doesn't happen overnight, right? So I started in 2012, and now it's 14 years, right? I would say maybe after 5 years, I feel really comfortable like with what I'm doing. So I really started to understand what I'm doing, right? That's about the time frame that you're looking at. So it's 5 years, right? So give yourself enough time. Like if you say, oh, this doesn't work, I can't do it, but you have to actually go through that process of struggling, and then you become really good at it. Okay, that's for any skills. It just takes time. That's something I want to emphasize. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
It was really um, helpful. We young people can learn much from it. And you are also young, so thank you. Not saying that you're not. Okay, so I'll just hand over to my co-host, Mary.
Yep.
Uh, thank you. Mary, here you go.
Yeah, if you have any other questions, feel free to ask. Yeah, I think this is more for conversational purpose. And if you have any questions, just go ahead, open your video, ask. Actually, appreciate, yeah, Sammy. And yeah, just ask me any questions. Feel free. And yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tang, and it's an absolute honor to have you here with us and to host this conversation. As you've already answered, and there's one thing like when we reached out to you and we have shared you regarding our session plan and
Mhm,
about the webinar series. So specifically, what I wanted to ask you about is that you did your bachelor's in a biotechnology and then genetics and genomics for your PhD, and I'm
mhm,
really curious about that because we don't often ask scientists and researchers about the very first pull, what drew you towards biology in the very first place, and what about like that world you felt like that this is yours to go with. And because I think a lot of us today when choosing fields, it feels like very sort of impossible because there is so much noise around what's practical, what's in demand and what's look
mhm,
good. So
mhm.
that the actual curiosity part and that genuine pull towards something, it gets buried. So did you have that pull? So where did it come from? I want you to answer that.
So your question is that how to choose the field? Like, can you, yeah, reframe your question?
Yeah. I am asking about because it happens. So the whole point of this webinar series is was to reignite that passion and then sense of curiosity
Mm-hmm,
among students.
mm-hmm,
So I want to ask you about your journey, the very first when you started with your education and your degree.
mm-hmm.
So what pulled you towards what you have chosen, and
Yep.
afterwards the one you gone with the transition?
Yeah. So that's a good question. As you mentioned, I did my graduate in Shanghai Jiao Tong University in biotechnology. Then I joined University of Florida in the US, right, for my PhD. So I will tell you, honest answer, right? No one actually knows what you really want to do at that point, right? For me, I was born in a very uh, low income family in China. I would say was I grew up in a poor family, and I studied really hard because my mom told me, "Okay, Tommy, only the knowledge can change your destiny." Okay, that's the only thing I knew. Okay, I had to learn a lot of things, study really hard. And the reason that I came to the US, the only single reason is that, oh, I can apply to a graduate school in the US with a full scholarship, and I can even support myself and also even my family back in China. So that's how it began. So I just applied, 20, I think 15 universities in the US. And University of Florida was the only one that gave me a full scholarship, right? Because I couldn't afford, right, to come to the US and support myself. All this the tuitions, they're expensive. In the early days, it was good. Like in 2000, they give me 2,000 stipend, right, every month. And think about it as a graduate student in a town that is the college town, and the living expense is low, right? I live with three other guys who also went to the University of Florida, and I spent probably 300-400 US dollars for the rent, and then 300-400 for the food, and like save some money to buy a second hand car. And I still actually save $1,000 a month actually. So for the 6 years of my PhD, I saved like $50,000 US, and I gave it to my mom to buy an apartment. So it was because we were living in a very poor condition, without hot water, without toilet. So that's something actually I feel proud of, because even I could actually help my mom and my dad to change their living conditions, right? So to answer your question, initially, that's the only reason, right? It's a practical reason, because they they give me stipend to support my study. So genetics and genomics, to be honest, I have no idea what's it about, right? But gradually, as you said, it's about curiosity. It's about learning new things, right? So then I started to learn biology, genomics during the first 3-4 years of my PhD. Then again, it's the curiosity that drives me to learn these new skills, right? Data analysis skills. Yes. So when I look back, a lot of things that happen in serendipity, right? So you really, so I like this actually sentence by Steve Jobs, right? You can only connect dots when you look backward, right? You can't actually understand when you look forward. So now when I look back 10 years ago, okay, I'm saying, okay, because I wanted to analyze the data myself, I spent time, spent effort to do that. And that's how everything was connected. And that's how I am the one who I am today, right? So I'm doing bioinformatics today after 14 years. It's about the journey, right? It's about how long you stick around. It's about 10 years. You keep learning, keep refining, you become an expert, and you build the reputation in the field, and you build the character in the field, and people will know you, and the opportunity will come to you, right? So how you choose a field, right? As you said, there are lots of noises, but I would emphasize the skills that you have is the learning skills. I would say it's a meta skill. It's a skill for learning new skills. Like if you are curious, and if you can learn anything that is new. For example, now we have so many AI stuff, like just keep curious and try those new tools. And you will be able to pivot, right, to a different field that you feel interested, right? So I think initially you just need to establish your character, right? You learn the skills of learning new skills. It's called meta skills, right? And for practical reasons, right? So maybe when you start, that's actually not something you really like, but you still learn a lot of things from all the experience that you had. And then you can easily pivot to a different field, and which you like and which you think you can practically, right, solve problems. Or of course, you need to earn a living with that, right? By the way, I think data analysis skill is one critical skills that you can have, and which is useful in many different fields. So yeah, just to answer your question, how I choose my field, or how I actually stay around, I think I would say it's random, but when you look back, it's also kind of you're destined to become someone that you want to be. So yeah, that's my question. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Like it feels like, when you look back and you feel like all the dots are connecting, and you feel like okay, eventually this was the plan, and it makes sense, even though you were not like when you move to that field, whatever you've chosen, like it wasn't like very much interested and pulled, but eventually you reach at a point like this is what I want to do. But sir, many of students here today, though besides you have shared really wonderful and really practical advices, but still there are a lot of students here today with us who are kind of sitting with something really different, and that kind of feeling of I don't know yet, I haven't found my thing, everything around me seems very certain, and everyone seems very certain, and I'm still searching, and that
Yep.
pressure of that can be really overwhelming. So now, from where you stand now and having lived that journey that you even could not have predicted, so what would you say to those students, like those one who have found that thing which were you feel like now you're saying like you were destined to be being in this field of bioinformatics, so what would
Mm-hmm,
you suggest to those students out there?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, Fatima. Yeah, I think that's a good question. As I said, I was uncertain either, right? 10 years ago or 12 years ago, I was uncertain. And I fully understand the students today, right? You're uncertain about your future, uncertain what you are interested in, uncertain about the eventual field that you want to get into, right? So my suggestion would be when you are still searching, when you are still deciding, start to build capacities. So what do I mean by building capacities? It means learning new skills, right? So if you, whatever you are studying, make sure you learn it well, and you can also learn new skills. So the reason that I'm talking about it is I didn't know, for example, I would do a computational biology postdoc. I was just learning new data analysis skills. So then I took 2 years, right, to build the foundations. But only that, after that, okay, then there's opportunity there for a computational biology postdoc. And because I already built the capacity, build the foundation, and when the opportunities comes, I can apply, and I got into that position. This is another example I want to give. So later, I actually joined Dana-Farber, and it was a manager position, and that was the first time I need to lead a team. Okay, and it's very different from doing the work by myself, because as a leader or as a manager, your responsibility is to make your team members the best version of themselves. And your role has changed, and it's about helping your team members to be successful, right? And then I started to learn actually leadership. So I started to take a lot of courses on management, people management, project management, leadership. I even spent money to take some leadership boot camp, right? So that helps me to get ready to lead the team, okay? And then 2 years later, so I joined industry. It's a small biotech company, right? And they offered me a director position, which is a very rare situation, right? I had no industry experience. How come I can just get into industry and get a position that is a director position, right? That's because I was building my capacity. I was leading a team at Dana-Farber, and I demonstrate that I can lead a team. I can help my team members to be successful, and eventually their success is my success. I understand the management. So that's why I was able to join a company and lead a team and help them to build a new team, right? So I was building my capacity when I was at Dana-Farber. So in order for me to get into a leadership position in industry, I was building my capacity during my PhD, learning new skills, data analysis, so I can get the computational biology postdoc position when I am ready, right? So learn new skills. That's actually my suggestion to you. Even if you're uncertain, you build your capacity by learning new skills, okay? Pick something new. Learn AI, learn data analysis, right? How to automate your work. Learn deep biology, for example, right? Once you learn those new skills, and when the opportunities come, now you are ready to take the opportunity. But if you're just wandering around, you don't have any purpose, like purposely learning new skills. When the opportunities comes, you can't take it because you're not ready, right? Invest in yourself, right? If I think one of the key mindset change for me is that anything that I can buy to help myself to improve, I would do it. Buy books, read books, right? Take courses. Those are the best investment, okay, for yourself. So that's actually my question. Build capacity, invest in yourself. If you are able to buy books, buy courses, if you are not able to take some free courses online. And YouTube, right? This, I don't know whether you have access to YouTube, but so many free tutorials there. You can watch them for free, right? So build your capacity, learn new skills, invest in yourself, and when the opportunity comes, and you are ready to take it. Yeah, that's my answer. If that's helpful, yeah.
Yeah, it's really helpful. So you talk about the team experience and working with the team, and I remember, like you said something about in your post. I somewhere read that you said that like as a team we can achieve more than myself alone, and that kind of sounds very simple, but I don't think so. Especially for someone who have learned everything by themselves and who spend years figuring things out alone and building
Mhm.
an entire platform and individual effort. So learning to lead after learning to survive alone. So that sounds kind of very different things. So
Mhm.
how did that shift for you? What did you have to learn to actually become good at it?
Yeah, I even didn't really expect that we actually perfectly pivot to the second topic here. Yeah, it's very different, right? Doing things by yourself versus leading a team to do the things. It's very different. You might be the most capable person, but in terms of doing things technically, but you are not necessarily the best leader. Okay, a leader, you have to be trusted actually by your team members, because now you are together driven by the same goal. Like for me in the pharma industry, we are together and the same goal is to make a drug for patients, right? I think you have to learn again. No one was really taught actually those leadership skills like in school. And the way that I learned is to take courses. Just like in the early days, I took courses on programming skills, right? On data analysis, genomics, data analysis. And later I actually took courses also on the same platform, Coursera. Right? There are a lot of actually leadership courses that you can take for free, right? And I also joined the boot camp, leadership boot camp, spent money like out of pocket. And the coach actually told me one thing that I still remember: as a manager, as a leader, your responsibility is to make your team member the best version of themselves. And you don't want to be the smartest person in the team, right? Because if you are the smartest person in the team, you are in the wrong place, okay? You want a team members to be smarter than you, to be more capable than you, and you are responsible to drive them together, right? With a single vision, as a single goal, and to accomplish something bigger that than yourself can accomplish. And leadership, I would say there's no big secret. You have to take care of your team members. It's actually very simple, but many, to be honest, many managers, they just simply don't do it. It's just one word, right? Care. If you care about your team members genuinely, right? Care about their life, care about their career development, help them to be more successful. And no one is a fool, right? They can feel, humans can feel whether you are genuine care about me, right? You care about them, help them to learn new things. And they understand that. And they will actually do their best to accomplish the goals that as a team we all actually strive to. So care about your team members and they will trust you. So leadership is all about trust, care, and trust. You care about them and you gain trust. And it takes a long time to, right? The trust takes a long time to establish, but it can break instantly. So make sure, be consistent, right? If you care about other people, and just don't break your promise, for example, because that will break the trust very fast. So that's actually my own understanding of leadership, of management, is about care and trust.
Definitely, sir, makes sense, and kind of you're right, because the fact you said that to be consistent, and I think being consistent and being patient. So I think that would really be, in a longer run, that would be able to eventually gain that trust the team.
Mhm.
Sir, I'm a informatics student, and being a bioinformatics student, what sort of ever what content on your platforms you post, it's always been helpful, and so we're really grateful all over the globe, all the students. And there's one
Mhm.
post like came across in your LinkedIn, and you wrote about that always be helpful. Don't expect anything in return, but it may come back to you unexpectedly, and it can
Yep.
suddenly change your life. And I think you were talking
Mhm.
about a specific moment where you offered to help a colleague quietly without any agenda. I
Mhm.
want to ask about that instinct, because when I look at everything you have built, Chatomics, the tutorials, the book, that mission to help, and I think it all lives in that same place inside you. Like, where does that come from, and do you think that, like, that instinct to give without expecting is something that can like that can actually be taught, and or is this something like some people are built that way?
Mhm. Okay, very good question. So I will answer. The first point is about being consistent. That's the single most undervalued, I think, character that you can have, being consistent. Okay. You learn things, right? For example, for 10 years, you will be an expert in that field, right? So people usually overestimate what they can accomplish in 1 year, but they underestimate what they can do in 10 years. If you have a long-term goal, who you want to be in 10 years, and then you just walk gradually toward that goal every day, being consistent again, and you will reach that goal for sure in 10 years. So again, you need to have a very clear goal, who you want to be, and then work consistently every day. Okay, and you will become that person you want to be. I promise you, in 10 years, you will be that person. Okay, that's first thing, consistency. And then also my post, many of you probably have read my post on LinkedIn. I started to post like a long time ago, but since I started to track, it's been 851 days that I posted daily on LinkedIn. Okay. And my goal is to post consecutively, consistently for 1,000 days. Okay. And then that's my simplest goal. And by the end of this year, so I will reach my goal, then I will start something else. Okay. And because I post consistently, and then the followers, the number will just keep continue, like increase. Okay. Okay, that's the first question, first point I want to address about the consistency. And second is about giving back and never ask for return. Okay. So think about this. Life is long, life is short as well. Okay. So what I'm saying is that if you constantly give value without asking for return, the karma will come back to you. What I'm saying is that even if you help a lot of other people, they may forget about you. That's fine. But maybe one of the person that you helped will come back to you and help you when you are needed. Dig the well before you become thirsty, right? We all understand this. But most of the time, we're so rushed to get something back from what you just did for other people. It becomes too transactional, right? So the difference is that short-term greedy versus long-term greedy. Short-term means like, okay, I did this thing for you, and then you have to pay me back. But long-term is like, okay, it's about life is long too. Oh, about 10 years. I have seen actually friendship that lasted for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And they have really deep trust with each other, right? Because they know, okay, Tommy is something that I can trust. Tommy is something that I can turn to for help. And when I need help, when I call them, they will pick up the phone. Okay? It's about the long-term relationship. So you have to change that mindset as well. Okay? So if you really understand that, then you will start change your behavior as well. Give away value. Play the infinite game. Don't play the zero-sum game, right? You help other people. Eventually, you will be helped as well. It may take a long time, but that's fine. You are building the foundations. You're building the trust, right? It can take a long time, but I'm sure you probably also have a friend, maybe in your mind now, who you can trust. You know, okay, he's always around there. He's always there to support me, right? I trust him, right? You must have some friends like that too. And what I want you to do is to become someone like that yourself. Help others, right? And just one example. And when I was in at MD Anderson Cancer Center, and I was learning bioinformatics, but they were holding their scripts, right? They don't share their scripts, right? I was frustrated, right? And that's why if I figured it out, I wrote blog posts to share. I have GitHub repositories. People can go and then just learn how to make those figures, how to do data analysis, right? So I don't want to be like them, right? Just holding the scripts. So I want to share. And eventually, a lot of people like you, I don't know, for today, Pakistan, I've never been to Pakistan, right? I know little about the country, but I'm so surprised. There are a group of people like you who are doing bioinformatics and you're watching me. And I'm able to actually be in this setting to share my experience with you. Right? It's, in a way, it gets paid off. What I've been doing, right? Sharing knowledge, it get paid off. Yeah, that's my question. Yeah, that's my answer to your question.
Thank you so much, sir. I think it's a wonderful answer and it's really insightful. Thank you so much once again.
Sure. Yeah. Feel free to answer and ask any questions. Yeah, Fatima, those are really good questions. Yeah, and to be honest, I learned those things. I've been telling you, that's years of experience and self-reflection, and I'm actually sharing that with you too. And hopefully, you can learn something and take actions. Yeah. Oh, in terms of some maybe career tips that I can share with you, because first of all, be visible, right? You want to be visible, which means, okay, you can post LinkedIn posts. Some people can find you. You can showcase your expertise. But the other way is that, okay, how do you do networking, right? How do you build a relationship with other people, right? You can, like Fatima did, okay, you can ask questions, right? Like in settings like this, you can open your video, you can ask questions, things like that. Yeah. The other questions?
Hi, Dr. Tang.
Mhm.
This is Javeria Bahadur from the team of ISCBsc Pakistan, and I want to ask a question regarding the academia versus industry.
Mhm.
As students, we spend a lot of time building technical skills and learning as much as we can in the lab and even on the virtual platforms like Coursera, YouTube, etc. But
Mhm.
academia and industry feel like two entirely different languages. How do you actually differentiate the two different environments? And more importantly, how do we know when we are ready to transition, and how do we translate our academic learning into industry ready skills?
Mhm. Okay, that's a very good question as well. So I will first tell you differences between academia and industry, and also the similarity, okay? I think if you join like industry in R&D, research and development department, it's actually very similar, okay? You still do the research, you run the experiments, right? You do the data analysis. But the difference is the purpose is different. So in academia, it's all about writing papers, getting grants, and then write papers again and getting grants, right? So it's all about paper and the grants. But in industry, the purpose is different. The purpose is to make a drug, and it requires the effort of many, many different teams. So I would say in academia, we still collaborate, but usually it's about the paper that I want to be the first author. I need to lead this one, right? But in industry, you have to learn how to collaborate with many different teams, because you are not the first author of a certain drug, okay? You all collaborate with each other, okay? You have the biology team doing the biology, doing the experiments. You have the bioinformatics team doing the data analysis. You have the chemistry team to make the compounds, right? Then you have the clinical trial team. You have the translational medicine team to push it into clinic. So I would say if you want to transition from academia to industry, the research skills, they're very similar. Like in my day-to-day, I would say, okay, I still do all this data analysis. It's like doing research, but you have to pivot really faster than in the academia setting. For example, you can take 4 years to analyze a data set that you generate and publish a paper, right? But no, we don't have the luxury in industry. So you can take very short time to do some data analysis, pivot to a different data sets, for example. And you need to learn how to work with other people. Like if you want to go to industry, communication skills is very important. The collaboration skills is very important. Work with other people, right? And build a relationship with other people. I would say it's more important. The people skills is more important in industry. I think that's the difference. But to get prepared and more practically, I mean, I talked about, okay, you want to be more people-oriented collaboration, but to be a little bit more actually practical. So when you apply for jobs in industry, you want to, okay, this is more practical tips. Have a good LinkedIn profile, okay? That's your actual gateway for many of the recruiters. They will go to your LinkedIn. Make sure you have a good LinkedIn profile. Have a professional headshot. You can use like Google. They have the AI tools, Nano Banana. I think you can just upload a regular photo that you have, and then you just ask Nano Banana to, okay, convert it into a professional, LinkedIn profile picture. Okay. Hold a second. I think I built this tool as well to help you to do. So I sent a chat in. So it's a Google Chrome. I built this using Cloud Code, and it's a Google Chrome plugin. So once you install that plugin, then you navigate into your LinkedIn profile, scroll down until everything is loaded. Then you click that plugin, and it will give you AI generated suggestions for your LinkedIn profile. Then you change accordingly. Okay, practical tip: have a good LinkedIn profile and start to build your credibility by writing post or having a blog post. Make a website for yourself, okay? So you can use Claude Code, or I don't know the accessibility of those AI tools in Pakistan. Okay, someone was asking, okay, what skills should we translate to become future research leaders rather than just AI users? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so use that tool to do an AI audit for your LinkedIn profile. And write blogs. I think that's the best way to showcase your biological understanding. For example, there's a paper published. If you have any thoughts about this, you can write a blog post. And when you submit CV to industry, put your website link there. And then people can go there and read whatever you write, and you can showcase your capability. Okay. So, and sometimes you need some luck as well, right? You need someone who trusts you, who have faith in you, who has confidence in you. And yeah, again, build capacity. And when the opportunities comes, you can get it. Yep. Okay.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Tang. This has been a very insightful question answer session. And these were some of the questions that the team members, we had in mind. We also have a lot of our students in biological sciences here who would like to ask you their own questions and from your own life experiences and your career and your research. So now we will be opening the floor for you guys. Please feel free to either send your questions in the chat, or you can even unmute yourselves to ask Dr. Tang. So there are a few questions already in the chat I would like to share with you. Some students had shared them. So we have a question from Atta-ur-Rahman. He says, with the rise of generative AI and large-scale models like Bolt's AlphaFold, the landscape is changing fast. So in your perspective, doctor, what baseline skills will still be irreplaceable for a human bioinformatician over the next few years?
Okay. Yes, the AI is advancing really fast. Okay, those large-scale models like Bose and AlphaFold for protein structure predictions, maybe de novo protein antibody design. Those tools, again, they are good, right, at certain tasks. But even for AlphaFold, the structure prediction is accurate for some proteins, but for some other proteins, also for those highly variable regions, it just can't predict, right? And also for drug development, the protein structure is never the bottleneck. So although those tools are useful, it's just a toolkit, right? Under your belt. You can learn how to use them when it's useful. But the baseline skills that will not be replaced is your deep domain knowledge. Right? I use Claude Code, those AI tools every day to write code. And it's good, right? Once when you have really specific instructions, you know the right scripts. For example, I point Claude Code to my old scripts, so you can actually adapt them for new questions. It's good. It increased my efficiency. But the ability to frame the questions, right? The ability to judge the output from the AI tools, those are becoming more and more important. Right? And framing good questions means that you need to have really deep understanding of the biology, right? The domain knowledge. Those are still not be replaced by those AI tools, right? It still give you like a lot of hallucinations, for example, those AI tools. So I would suggest you to still dig into the biology, have a solid understanding of the biology. For example, a lab that studies a gene, a single gene or single disease for 20 years, it can the researchers can easily spot the nonsense the AI gives you, right? Because they are the real domain experts for that specific question. And use AI, again, AI is just a tool, use AI to accelerate your discovery, but it cannot actually replace the human expertise and judgment, at least at the moment. I don't know, maybe in 10 years, yeah, but at least at the moment, I see there's still a lot of limitations. Yeah. Okay.
Hello, doctor. I have a question regarding some sets. Like you mentioned, you learn coding and other libraries after your PhD, while doing your PhD. But my question is that if somebody has those skills at first, but does not have the skills about informatics, computational biology, or anything related to biology, how can that guy gets into informatics or computational biology?
Okay, so again, you need to have a plan, right? So I believe I wrote the blog post about how to learn bioinformatics from scratch. I do have a blog post link. Let me find it. Okay, let me find it. Let me find the blog. Yeah. The blog actually free. Yeah. Okay. I send the link in the chat. Okay. How I would actually learn bioinformatics 12 years later, the roadmap I sent in the chat. You can read that. Okay. Doctor, next question.
Secondly, I want to ask, is it compulsory to have a degree in bioinformatics or computational biology in master's or PhD? Like I graduated in computer science with a major in artificial intelligence. So would it be necessary for me to pursue a master's degree in it to have a career in it?
So I think you don't really need to have a degree in bioinformatics. So as you mentioned, you have a CS background. So then I would suggest you to learn more biology instead. So I thought you were actually from the wet lab side. Hold a second, let me find something else. So if you have a computer science background, I would suggest you to learn more biology, because that's okay. Let me find this biology. Let me find the. Yep. So I sent this other link in the chat. So there's some biology that you want to learn actually for doing bioinformatics, because, and also just learn how to do it, you know, by analyzing a practical data set, like bioinformatics data sets. That's how you learn. So you don't really need a degree. Yeah.
I agree on that, Doctor, to run data sets and do practices, but the issues that understanding those numbers and those outcomes about certain genetics and genes, that easy. But the issues that when we go to these initial issues about a gene or a genetics or how a cell is doing, there is where I feel lackability, because I don't have a little bit of exposure about biology or anything about what is a cell and how exactly that's doing. I understand its numeric values, its statistics, how it's I even do a lot of projects regarding that. Latest project was my on breast cancer. I understand the numerics, those issues, but when we go at the initial issue, the issues that how that cell performs, how that cell happens, that's the I'm feeling a drawback.
Yes, that's why you want to send you the chat in the chat this link. You want to learn the basics of those biology stuff, right? How cells work, and molecular cancer biology, physiology, all this type of thing. I mean, to be honest, biology is a very big field. No one knows everything, right? If someone understands cancer, they probably don't know much about autoimmune disease. But then the basics, the foundations, how DNA work, how transcription work, right? How gene is regulated, for example, how you want to actually get a basic and understanding of that. Yeah. Okay.
That's really helpful, Doctor. Thanks a lot.
Sure.
It was really a cluster in my mind, query that was wondering. Thanks for this platform for having me allowed to ask this query, and it really helped me a lot. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Sure.
Doctor, I have a question. Can I ask it?
Yes.
So basically, in the people who are students, especially who are very new to leadership roles or networking, everything, they feel very overwhelmed with the basically the thing that with the fear of visibility. Like they're going to be visible to everybody else. Everybody else can see a lot of things about them. Or in leadership, there's this thing in leadership that sometimes you have to connect with your teammates on things where you have to let go of your personal beliefs to work together with them. So what should do in such situations professionally to deal with such things? Because you feel bad for giving up on your personal beliefs to work together with your teammates and everything.
Yeah. So when you have different maybe opinions with your team member, so again, be curious, right? Be genuine, care about your team members. Like try to understand them. Where are they coming from? Talk to them, right? What's the reason why they would think differently, right? Just understand. Put your feet in their shoes to understand where they're coming from, right? So most of the time, people don't have this strong self-awareness. They think, okay, what I'm doing is right. This is my way to do it. But you need to think from other people's perspective. Like intentionally, you have to actually force yourself, okay, why he or she has a different idea about that. think from their perspective. And if you don't know, like ask them, probe them with questions. Okay, oh, how do you think about this? Why do you think about this? Right? Ask those quite wide questions, right? And try to understand them. Right?
Yeah, but sometimes there are situations where you know that your team member is intentionally doing something very wrong, and they're intentionally not trying to be like say yes to what you are saying, and you know that they're intentionally doing it. So what should we do in such situations? Because
Oh,
you know that they know it's wrong and everything.
you're saying they're doing something wrong intentionally?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so then that's actually a a performance issue, right? And if you know someone is not doing right, like intentionally, then you need to have really hard conversations with them, right? So as being a leader, the other ability that you need to have is to have hard conversations, difficult conversations, right? So yeah, you have to just
Yes, sir.
talk them candidly. Yeah.
Yes, I actually agree with that. And now we have some students who have had their hands raised. So, Asma Rafiq, you can please unmute yourself and share what you wanted to say.
Good evening, sir. Thanks for the
Mhm.
opportunity, ma'am.
Mhm.
So I am, a, biochemist. Sorry
Mhm.
for advance apologies for as I am not a, confident public speaker, but I'm trying to be one. So my
Mhm.
question here is that what are how much do we supposed to are we supposed to know about structural bioinformatics if our interest lies in genomics and transcriptomics type and Linux and using Python and
Mhm.
AI assisted coding to
Mhm.
do high reward research in
Mhm.
biology?
So how much structure biology? So you're a chemist. I think in pharma company, it's like everybody collaborates, so you can't be an expert in everything. So, so I think focus on your expertise. Like if you're a chemist, focus on your expertise, but also learn a little bit about the structural biology because you want to collaborate with the computational biologist as well, the computational structure biologist actually. Computational structure, what's the right word for that? It's like structure biology is a very different actually field compared to genomics, right? So, and I know actually little about the structural biology. So how much do you know? I think you should know enough to be able to communicate with them and collaborate with them, but you yourself don't have to be an expert in the structural biology, right? If you're a chemist and you want to make the molecules, but you probably collaborate with the computational structure biologist. So, yeah, so that's actually my take.
So actually, I'm more of a biologist than a chemist because I don't
Okay.
like chemistry. So I
Mhm.
don't want to go into drug discovery. But I
Okay.
have seen many people in genomics on LinkedIn that they also, they also mention and tag, drug discovery kind of thing. So I just want to
Mhm.
clear this thing up that do we need to know that, do we have to learn about drug discovery as well?
No, it depends on what you want to do, right? If you don't want to go to industry, then you don't have to do the drug discovery. Like you can just stay in academia doing the research. And yeah, it doesn't. You don't really need to learn the drug development. It depends on what you want to do. And in academia, but you do want to actually at least have some understanding of data analysis because nowadays there's just so much data out there, and you can generate hypotheses by analyzing public available data sets without generating the data yourself. Right? So it's still helpful to have some data analysis skills. At least maybe you can use some AI tools to do some simple analysis for you. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I'm actually collecting some technical skills, but I just want to know that. Wait, I just okay. Thank you so much, sir, for clearing this up, and
Sure.
thank you.
Yeah.
Then we have Umair Ahmed, who has also had his hand raised. So you can also ask your question, Umair.
Thank you so much. 你好，老师。很高兴认识你。
Oh, nice. You speak Chinese. Very good. Yeah.
对对，我是巴基斯坦人，但是我读研在中国。我是医生。对。So I will ask in English. So this is like more personal question. So basically, I'm a doctor. I'm doing my master's in China in neurosurgery, specifically cerebrovascular neurosurgery. So you are from Shanghai Jiao Tong University, like you did your bachelor's. So you know that they are in China, they are more likely give you opportunities in research. So previously I have published some of the meta-analysis, but it's like a second type of research, and it's not popular these days now. So right now the doctors are using geodata set and using their own results, combining them and writing original papers.
Yes.
So I'm also trying to shift on that side. It's pretty new to me as a doctor doing a neurosurgery and going to the biotechnology or bioinformatics. It's so new. So I just want your opinion, some guidelines, some of your expertise. So where should I start? Like I have like a lot of opportunities to do here in China. So right now I'm in Yunnan Kunming. So I'm the Kunming Ikata Xuesheng Laoshi. So like we have like single cell analysis data here, molecular modeling and metagenomics, transcriptomics, a lot of things. So what do you think as a doctor, what should I see in future that has the most potential in bioinformatics?
Amir, like, what do you want to be? Who do you want to be? Do you want to be a doctor and seeing patients, and then doing research alongside? Like, what's your purpose? Yeah, what's your goal?
So, thank you for asking this, Laoshi. So the structure of the training of the doctor has been changed tremendously. In Pakistan, they don't go for the academic side. They do only clinical work. But in China these days, it is very hard to do only clinical work for the doctors. They encourage a lot to do these kind of things. So we are also involved in wet lab, and also we do surgeries here. We see patients every day. We go for ward rounds. Yeah. So it is a combination hybrid model. So it's been like 3 + 3 + 3. So the neurosurgery training is for 9 years after 6 years of MBBS. So it's so long.
Okay. I understand that. Actually, I know many friends in China, they are actually doctors in hospitals, but they are also required to publish papers in order to whatever get get bump of their title, something like that. I understand. So I would encourage you to maybe at least learn some of those bioinformatics skills. As you said, like people are digging into the geo data sets, but also combine with the data sets that you generated in-house, right? Then you can probably publish a better paper. But again, it really depends on the time you have, because you need to do the surgery, you have to see the patients as well. I don't know how much time really you have here. But if you really want to do this, you can maybe just start from very beginning. And I don't know how much experience do you have now, but download the data sets from Geo that's relevant to your study, and use AI tools to help to guide you step by step how you can do the data analysis and give enough context to the AI. Okay, what kind of question you want to ask, and then you run those analysis, right? And don't just blindly trust whatever it tells you. Always ask, okay, explain to me this step, why you're doing this step. And along the way, you actually learn, not only do the data analysis, but also understand the reasons why the analysis is being done, why this is important, why how this was done, right? So in China, probably there are some other different models they're using. Like in the US, we use Claude Code very frequently. But in China, maybe you have other models. But
So
yeah.
typically we have all access of these kind of stuff.
Mhm.
In China also, like we use YouTube, and right now we are on Google Meeting. So I'm currently in China.
Okay.
So yeah, but I want to ask you more specifically, what kind of field you see as a future for the clinical doctors if they are in bioinformatics? Yeah.
So what kind of data are you collecting then, like from the patients?
Most of the time, brain tissues.
Okay, brain tissues. So I think you can do a lot of things, right? With those brain tissues, you can do bulk RNA sequencing to start with, the easiest way, right? But then you can start with single cell, that's more complicated. You can also do spatial transcriptomics. That's even more complicated, right? It really depends on it's also expensive though, right? So and also it's more complex to do the data analysis. And it really depends on the research question you're asking about that disease. Okay, you understand, okay, to answer that disease, what kind of data do I need to generate? Right? I have those tissue samples, but I can generate different data sets. I can do bulk RNA-seq versus single cell, but do I really need a single cell if you have a lot of different cell types, rare cell types you want to profile, then maybe you need to do single cell. And maybe the spatial organization of those cell types is also important. I mean, at least in cancer, like immune cells versus cancer cell interactions is important. So, okay, maybe spatial can give me a little bit more information. So it depends on the purpose of the research questions, then you decide which data type you want to generate. Yeah.
好的，老师明白了。
Okay,
谢谢你。
Of course, yeah. Good luck.
Right, Dr. Tang, this has been a great conversation. And there are much more questions. And I'm sure as we go over all the points that you shared with us, there will be much more that crop up as we really internalize your advice. And I would have loved to have more people ask their questions. And I'm sure you would have enjoyed that as well. Unfortunately, our session is coming to an end.
Sure.
And we would like to wrap this up. This has been an incredibly productive conversation, sir. And before we wrap up, on behalf of RSG Pakistan, we thank each and every one of you for being here with us today. And this might have been an hour and a half session, and I admit it was quite brief, but for our team, it's been a journey for the past few days, just planning, coordinating, and honestly juggling this along with our university classes and exams. So seeing all of you here today makes all of that effort completely worth it. This was episode 2, Behind the Breakthroughs, and we'll continue to bring you not just science, but the stories behind it. And of course, again, a very special thank you to our dear speaker, Dr. Tang, for taking out the time. And thank you to Team RSG Pakistan. It truly meant a lot. Thank you for being such a wonderful audience, everyone. Until next time, until our next episode, we hope to see you again. Take care and keep exploring. Thank you, everyone.
Take care. Thank you. Bye.
AI is going to replace you, so you are. Why are you muting me? You